you ever get a bargain haircut and then have to wear a hat for a month? You ever ask your spouse to fix something around the house, or tell your spouse that you can fix something around the house, and then about 2 weeks later, it's actually more broken than it was when you started? These are things I like to call shortcuts. I actually love that Dallas mentioned that word in his talk earlier, because I was sitting there going, yes, that's my word. Shortcuts are things that we do to save time, save money, avoid headaches, have an easier life. And they all have about 3 things in common. The first one is that we all take them. Second one is that they all seem like a good idea at the time. And the third one is they always cost us more in the long run. Raise your hand if you have a job or run a business. All right, good. I'm in the right room. Work, jobs, business, these are all areas where we want to save time, we want to save money, we want to avoid headaches and make things easier, and so those are areas particularly prone to taking shortcuts. My work is editing, ghostwriting, book creation, working with people who want to get their messages out into the world. All kinds of shortcuts that I see people taking in that every day, and because a lot of my clients are also business people and entrepreneurs, I get to see the shortcuts they take in business as well. So this is kind of why I do what I do. I remember having a call with a client who thought her book was absolutely terrible and was about ready to give up on it. The book was amazing. This author was incredibly brilliant, but she had taken a shortcut by hiring a cheap editor, actually hiring 3 of them. By the time she got to me, she was convinced that her text was absolutely ruined. And it wasn't. It needed some help, but we were able to get it back to where it needed to go, and that book ended up making her business quite a bit of money. But because she had taken this shortcut, she didn't know that and was ready to give up on it. When you take shortcuts, that's kind of what happens to you. You lose the very thing that you wanted to take the shortcut to get. Story I like to tell is about my very first ghostwriting client. I hired a junior writer to do a lot of the writing when I was supposed to do all of the writing myself, to try and save myself time. And then the client came back to me and said, James, this isn't you. This isn't your writing. This isn't what I hired you to do. I need you to redo it. So when I first wanted to save time, I had to take about 2 months of extra time to finish that project in the way the client wanted it finished. These are the things that happened. I got sloppy. I compromised some of my values, which was great service to my clients, and I lost the very thing that I was trying to save. Anybody done something like that? Why do we do this? We are smart people. We have jobs. We run businesses. Why do we do these kinds of things and hurt ourselves this much? I actually have about 7 reasons that this happens, but I don't have time to give you all 7. So I'm going to give you the biggest 3. The first one is that we don't know any better. This happens a lot when you're first starting out in business, when you know your skill set really well, but you don't actually know how to run a business yet. So, yeah. So you take a shortcut, you probably don't even know that it's a shortcut yet. Another reason is that you get greedy. You see a outcome that you really want, a client you really want to work with, a number you really want to hit, and you're like, I don't care what I have to do. I want that thing, and I want it right now. And then the third thing, this is, I think, the biggest one, we get desperate. If you need to get a client this week to make payroll on Friday, you don't care who that client is. You might know for a fact that that client is going to give you the biggest problems in your business that you have ever seen, but right now it doesn't matter because you need their business too much. There's a counter for each one of these reasons. If you don't know any better, learn from people who do. I'm going to get you to raise your hand one more time, last time, I promise. People who have a job or a business, let's see, one more time. Everyone look to your left. Everyone look to your right. Awesome. This is what I love about programs, conferences, conventions like this. Everybody here is here to share their experience and their perspective and help each other. I am reasonably sure if you went up to anybody in this room and said, hey, you've been in business longer than me, you've probably seen this problem that I've seen, can you help me figure it out? It'd probably take 10 minutes, 15 minutes and talk you through. I'll tell you how they fixed it. The key to not taking shortcuts out of greed is to not fall for shiny objects. And I know shiny object syndrome is a huge thing, but whatever that shiny object is that you want right now, it's probably going to be there next week. It's probably going to be there next month. It's probably going to be there next year, whenever it is that you can get it affordably or without taking a shortcut or without compromising some aspect of yourself and who you are and what you love. As for desperation, I unfortunately don't have a quick fix for that because desperation isn't something that's happening right now. It's something that happened about 6 months ago that you probably missed or decided not to address. Because 6 months ago, you had an issue. 3 months ago, that issue became a problem. A month ago, that problem turned into a crisis, and today that crisis is an emergency that you need to take an unhelpful or unhealthy shortcut just to get out of, just to get back to an even keel. So 6 months ago, maybe that meant facing an uncomfortable truth. Maybe that meant having a difficult conversation. Maybe that meant realizing that, hey, I might be the problem. Or maybe I hired the problem. Or maybe I'm related to the problem, or maybe I'm married to the problem. Nobody wants to have those conversations. But as painful as they can be, they're still better than coming to this emergency today and being like, I have to do something to get out of this situation. That's 3 out of 7. I'm running out of time. I would love to share the other 4 with you. I cannot from this stage. However, I do have a gift for everybody here that will cover those. Also, like Dallas, I have an upcoming book. It's called Buy Once, Cry Once, How Shortcuts Are Costing You in the Long Run. It is my gift to you, a digital copy of that book, absolutely for free. Everybody in this room can get one. Just meet me over there at my table. It should be finished shortly. It should be finished as soon as I can get through it. I also have a worksheet that goes along with it, and I do have that here for you guys. It's the Stop Shortchanging Yourself worksheet, 5 simple questions on how to identify your biggest shortcut, why you're taking it, and what you can do to stop. In every room, there are a few people who really like physical copies of books and and audiobooks, and I know this because I am one of those people. So I cannot, unfortunately, do this for everyone, but the first 11 of you who meet me over at my table and sign up to get the ebook will also get the physical copy and the audiobook when those guys are ready. So meet me over at my table, and I'll get you guys hooked up. Since this is, in some ways, a community of faith, I'm going to close with a quote that I think most of you have heard in some form. Wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, yet narrow is the gate and straight is the way that leads to the kingdom of heaven. So in other words, whether you're writing a book, you're running a business, you're building a family, or you're just trying to have a good and productive life, taking a shortcut is never going to get you where you want to go. Thanks, guys.